You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Michelle Fonda,
Logan McFarland.
Hey guys, welcome. Today we're welcoming Logan for the first time on the podcast. He's one of our new employees at Turning Point. We always like to try to get him on. Sometimes it takes longer to get some on than others. They are shy about this. We finally got Logan on after begging and pleading for weeks. But we like to have you on just because, to tell a little about your story, what got you into recovery. I know you went through Centerpoint like I did. And, what got you there, what changed while you were there, and what made you ultimately want to continue working in recovery and give back and come work with us at Turning Point?
Well, obviously it started out when I was younger, probably mid-teens, that I got really hard into drugs. I do believe I used it as a coping mechanism at one time to just handle the feelings that I was feeling. I was going through a hard breakup and stuff, and drugs were abundant. I come from a family that, wasn't the best, a lot of drug dealing and whatnot, and I really had no parental supervision, so it just led down the wrong path. My drug use led me into homelessness and broken relationships and just, a life that I no longer wanted to live. And after many trips to jail and mental institutions, I finally ended up at a rehab reluctantly. I obviously did not want to go. I don't think many people, when they first get there, are just like, yay, I'm ready to be here. Especially when they started to talk about God and whatnot. I've never had a concept of a higher power or God in my life that I can ever remember. I thought it was going to be one of those situations, and I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. Like, I'm not ready for anything to be pushed onto me that I don't want to do. But after being there for a little while, I realized, AA is a very open program, and it's very, there's no really set rules on a higher power or anything like that. So, and I heard a lot of people talking about willingness and whatnot, and I said, why not give it a try? Everything else I've tried in my life has failed horribly, so why not just give this a shot, give this a chance? So I've really sat down and became willing to, do anything that they asked me to within reason, of course. And I heard a lot of people say, we're not going to do anything that's going to harm you, and I really took that into account. And I really started to try to believe in a power greater than myself, and with a little time and a little patience and some willingness and some work on my part, I really held on to the program. I really saw, people coming up there to give their leads and listening to other people and peer mentors up there, staff up there telling, a little bit of their story. It really encouraged me to really open up and really, find out who Logan was. For a long time, I never knew who I was. I was just what everyone else wanted me to be around me, to get what I needed, to get what I wanted. And it was a very humbling experience. It was a very amazing experience to have 6 months to sit down and look at myself, look at my life, and decide that, I didn't want that anymore. I was ready for something new. I was ready for, all these opportunities that I heard could be, laid at your feet with the help of a higher power and some work on your part. I wanted that. I've never had anything in my life, and now I'm starting to have steady income. I'm starting to get an apartment on my own, and I never thought any of this would be possible. And it's just amazing what these programs and what God has done for me. So.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people that come into recovery, man. I know it was for me, just not knowing who you really are, and you've been masking it with drugs and alcohol for so long and trying to be what you thought everybody else wanted you to be. And, you have to fight through that and figure out, first you have to try to love yourself and figure out what you actually like and be proud of that and not worry about what other people say or think about you. all while trying to better yourself and help someone else. I came in with resentment against God as well, and that was something I worked through, but it's only by the grace of God that I was able to complete that program for me personally. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. You came through, and then at some point you decided that you wanted to peer mentor like I did. What made that decision for you, or helped you make that decision?
Okay, when it was first brought up to me, some of my fellow peers and my roommate was a peer mentor, and he sat me down. He was like, "Do you ever think you would want to do anything like that?" And I would say that was about 3 or 4 months in, and I was like, "No, no, I'm ready to go out here and live my life and do whatever I want to do."
Yeah.
And then I had Alan sit me down, and he asked me if I would ever think about being a peer mentor or whatnot, and that's when I really sat down and thought about it, and I prayed about it. And I don't know, it was just one day, one of my friends in Centerpoint just came up to me. I was at a cafeteria at the table, and he slapped down an application for a peer mentor, and he was like, "You're going to fill this out and turn it in and at least attempt to get some signatures." And I was like, okay, why not? And so I went around, and whenever staff was asking me, questions on why I wanted to do it, is when I really realized, this is something I want to do. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that Centerpoint gave me and the new mindset that Centerpoint gave me. Why wouldn't I want to help other people try to experience that or try to introduce that into their lives? And so that really was the ultimate factor on me becoming a peer mentor. And once I got in there, I loved it. It was amazing. I don't know why. I just felt like, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it gave life purpose for once. And for so long, I felt like I had no purpose in life. And then there I was helping other people walk through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that ultimately decided for me to come apply for Turning Point. With the help of my sponsor, he was like, "You should really try to put in an application up there." I was like, "Okay, why not?" And it wasn't but the next day that I got a phone call saying, "Would you like to come in for an interview?" And I was like, "Is this really happening?" I didn't think they would call me, honestly. And I went through the interview process, and the night after that interview, I was laying in my bed and I was praying to God, and I was like, "Please, God, if this is what is meant for me, please let it be." And next thing you knew, I was getting called on to sign hiring papers and whatnot. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And now that I'm here, I love it. I love my job. I love my coworkers. I love coming in every day, just having an opportunity. If it's just to help one person, then I've done my job for the day. So,
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. I know that while you were peer mentoring, you were coming down here and chairing one of our meetings for us, and I realized right away that you were doing a way better job than the person who was before you, but that you actually cared and you were actually having something to share and give back, and I was like, he would be a great fit down here. So when I heard you applied and got the job, I was excited for you, man.
And what meeting would that be? Just to get a little...
That's our LGBTQ meeting that you chair every Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Michelle, what do you think about Logan?
Oh, I love Logan.
You're not just saying that, are you?
No, whenever I was working at Centerpoint, I really got to know Logan. I think we had a few talks, quite a few probably.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever I heard he was peer mentoring, I was like, wow, that's going to be so good for him, to really be able to come out of himself and help others. And, I seen him grow from the time he got to Centerpoint, and then while he was peer mentoring, coming to chair our meeting. And he was so excited. I was there whenever Brandon asked him to come chair the meeting.
Right.
And I just seen it come over his house. He was like, "Who, me?" And he was so excited to do it. And he's been doing a great job. I've seen him grow. It's been a really good experience. And that step 12, giving back to Centerpoint, and that something happens, whenever you're doing that service, working with another alcoholic, you really become spiritually awakened. And I really believe that that willingness early on, to do something different opens the door to opportunities like this, and just increasing, your recovery or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah. As a woman in recovery, I know how important having a fellowship of women has been for me. Come join us at the Women of Worth All Recovery Support Group here at Turning Point, 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky, every Friday night at 6 p.m., where we discuss our personal experiences in recovery. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's awesome. Welcome aboard, everybody. Logan. So, for the rest of the podcast, we're gonna do something, a little fun. We chair meetings sometimes, and we do what we call a popsicle stick meeting. Which, for those of you listening who don't know, is we have topics related to recovery written on popsicle sticks in a cup, and we'll pass it around at a meeting, and you'll draw it right before you share on whatever the topic written is. And I kind of like it because you don't know what you're going to talk about. You can't sit there and plan it out, wait for it to get around to you, and then, just regurgitate something or say what someone else has already said. You have to, I think God's more in a popsicle stick meeting because it comes right off the cuff and comes from your heart. So we're going to do that and see if anybody has something good to say. Michelle, we're going to let you go first.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. Keep it simple. Yeah, I really like the topic, keep it simple. I'm an overthinker, so whenever I try to make things happen and, I remind myself, to pray about it, give it to God, and just try not to overthink things and just know that everything's going to work out. I like, sometimes I have that magic magnifying mind where I like to think things are bigger than what they are, and keep it simple helps me reel things back in and just like, it's okay. I just don't got to drink and drug, and it's all going to work out. And, it reminds me of to think about all the cliches we hear, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And it reminds me to reel it back in and just know that everything's going to be okay, and to use the tools that's been given to me, because recovery, it's not that, it is hard at first, but it's not that complex, it's really simple.
Yeah, I think a lot of people overcomplicate it.
Yeah, it's like, just pray and meditate, call on people, ask for help, use your support, and keep it simple helps me to reel things back in. So
I know that my magic magnifying mind will overcomplicate any situation so quickly. So I'm like, it's going 90-0 up there, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. It happens so fast. But from the tools that I've learned throughout this program, that I can reel it back in rather quickly these days than keep it going on and on and on. So
yeah, that is truly important. All right, what do you got, Logan? Let's see what you're gonna draw.
I just love that noise. God conscience. Ooh. Well, that is definitely something that has had to be acquired over a period of time, because definitely before I found recovery, I had no God conscience. It was all my will, whatever I wanted to do is what was going to be done, within reason, of course. But, developing a God conscience, definitely going through Center Point's what helped develop my God conscience. It has made my life so much more simpler, so much more, it feels correct these days, like whenever I do something, even, get a little snarky with somebody or something, then I'm like, oh my gosh, did I really just do that? When before I wouldn't have cared, or, just like not holding the door open for somebody. It's something as simple as that. I feel genuinely bad about it. So I know that's definitely that God conscience that I've developed over a period of time. And, I'm glad, it makes my day go so much better knowing that I'm a better person than I used to be. And without God, that just wouldn't be possible. So I know it takes time. It definitely takes time. It's not anything you're going to develop overnight. But and no one's perfect. You know, progress, not perfection. So, but as long as I practice having a God conscience every day, just that day becomes so much more simpler.
Yeah, and when you're like, they're working the steps and the spiritual principles behind the steps, and as you start to try to live by those spiritual principles, then, you know, your God conscience becomes stronger. Like, just for example, I can't even accidentally drop a piece of trash now without feeling terrible about it and having to go back and pick it up. And that's just on the smallest level. To the grandest things of hurting someone's feelings or any of that stuff is absolutely out of the question today, because now I actually care about other people, not just myself, primarily about other people more than myself, and that's where my God conscience comes into effect. All right, I'll draw one here. Let's see what I get. Meditation. Oh man, meditation is something that I absolutely love today, and it means so many different things to me. You know, it started simply like we have the morning meditation at Centerpoint was my like introduction to it. And, you know, you hear meditation and you think, you know, someone cross-legged and, you know, hama, or whatever. That's not what it is for me. For me, I do it every morning. My morning meditation is I get on my knees and I pray. Then I read my Bible in the big book and I journal. I also consider meditation when I'm riding my bike, listening to music, or when I'm at the gym, or when I'm doing anything where I can be quiet in my mind and just enjoy either nature or my surroundings and be at peace. I consider that meditation, and I don't have to make weird noises. And if that's what helps you, you know, some people enjoy that kind of meditation. I actually want to start doing yoga, and I would consider that definitely a form of meditation. But my primary meditation is my morning meditation that I do with myself. And I enjoy when I work mornings here at Turning Point, because we have a morning meditation every morning at 8 a.m., you know, where we read all the readings and share gratitude. And I like it when I work mornings, so I get to participate in that too. So,
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I think for me, like meditations where I just take time out of my day to intentionally connect with God, you know, to ask for his guidance and his direction. And whenever I skip that, like my whole entire morning is off, like if I accidentally oversleep or anything like that. And then even if I do, I try to like connect with him in the car, you know. I listen to like K-Love a lot, and that just kind of just reels me into like, you know, just reflect on God and what he's done in my life, to, you know, throw some gratitude out there to him, you know. And I think it's just that intentional, you know, and just intentionally trying to connect and, you know, come out of yourself just a little bit, you know. That's what meditation is for me, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Michelle, draw another one.
Okay. Baffling.
Cunning, baffling, powerful.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I know that Michelle is either baffled or constantly baffling me with how excited she is all the time.
Thanks, Matt, for throwing me under the bus on the podcast. No, yeah, baffling. You know, that's just our disease. You know, how fast it can creep in on us without us even knowing. You know, and I think that's why we got to stay armored. You know, we have to put in that work. We have to put in that action every single day. I heard once every single day I wake up with untreated alcoholism, and I was like, wow, that's so freaking true. And just kind of just puts it out there as how powerful and how like it can just hit you from nowhere. You know, if I'm alone in my head for too long, it just creeps in. I'm like, what is going on? You know, and it's just, I think that's where the baffling comes in. It's just right there lurking, just waiting, you know, for you to slip up and forget to pray and meditate, or, you know, forget to use your tools, or, you know, to think about somebody, or to always be thinking about yourself instead of working with others, you know?
Yeah, and until you, like, once you learn that, it's not as baffling, because you can kind of, like, see when that's coming up. You can notice it and address it quickly, but when you don't understand it, that's what's baffling, is, you know?
We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is, despite their name, they're never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
Here you go, Logan. Your turn.
Acceptance. Why does this keep popping up in my life? Acceptance is very vital. It's very important. And I've come to realize that it's not as easy for some people as it is for myself. I've always considered myself not a grudge holder and been able to progressively move on from things. Okay. I mean, like, I've just never had a trouble, like, accepting my past, what I've done. You know I did it, and it's there, and there's no coming back from it. I mean, there's no changing the past. All I can do now is be a better person today and, prove to people I may have caused harm to in my life that, I'm a different person. People do change. And whether they want to accept that or not, that's on them. All I know is that I can only control myself today, and I have to be accepting of what comes. You hear that term, life on life terms, and it will come up, and I have to accept that. Now, am I perfect at it? By no means at all, because there are some things in my life that I still want to try to control, and I just... some days are easier than others, and some days I'm more accepting of it, and other days I'm not. And you guys know I'm a crybaby, and I'll sit there and cry for a little while, and then I'll be okay. So, life goes on. But accepting, I know for some people, they struggle with it. I hear it in the rooms and stuff, and it puts, a soft spot on my heart for those people, because I wish that so badly that they could have what I have on acceptance. And, especially when it comes to the past, being able to accept things that we have done, because none of us were, saints out there, or I know for myself I wasn't. So, and, it causes that wreckage of your past, and some people don't have it in them to forgive you for what you've done. And, you just have to learn to accept it and move on with life. Maybe one day they'll come around, but until then, you can't let it bring you back further. You can't let it cause any hold on your progress in life and bettering yourself. So,
yeah.
I think for me, like working the 12 steps and taking that time out at Trilogy to, learn the big book, and to just take that time that I was there to totally take a look at myself and reflect and learn the things that I learned, and know that nothing in God's world happens by mistake. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today, and I do get disturbed over some things, but it don't last long. Like, it doesn't take my serenity and hold on to it. I might have like little moments to where it's hard for me to accept those things and come to terms with them, but I'm able to. And that's because I was given the opportunity to go to rehab. And I have worked the 12 steps. And I think maybe the ones who haven't had that opportunity to get a sponsor and to work the 12 steps and to really take a look at themselves probably struggle with it a little bit more. And, the three of us were lucky. Not everybody gets to go to treatment. We were very blessed, and, to have that knowledge given to us, and, knowing that nothing happens in God's world by mistake, and everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be, kind of is freeing to know that, and not everybody knows that. And I'm really blessed to know that God's in control, and I don't have to make things happen today.
Right. Yeah, I know, like, coming through the program, acceptance, like, because, like you said, was it 417, page 417, acceptance is the answer to all our problems today. And, anytime anything was going bad for anybody, you just, acceptance, you get upset because you're like, you don't want to accept everything. But I saw a meme the other day that I thought was funny. It was like supposed to describe acceptance, and it said, not acceptance, it's raining today. And you're like, oh, this sucks, it's raining. Why is it always raining? Just everything you complain about, rainy day, it's always raining on my day off, blah, blah, blah. And acceptance would be like, yep. It's like, it's raining. What are you going to do about it? Because it really comes down to, we're powerless over a lot of things. And, we have to accept the way people act, the way people treat us, the way things going in the world. We can't do something about everything, but that there are things we can do something about. And that, there is, I did have an argument about is acceptance really the answer to all our problems today? Because there's still some things in the world that I just can't accept. I have to accept that they exist, but I don't have to like them. And, and I can try to do what I can to help people that are in these situations. But, I think that ultimately acceptance goes back to kind of keeping it simple, man. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and you can't worry about certain things. You can't control a lot of things, and so just accepting it gives you a sense of peace. It does. That allows you to, continue working your program and not let things affect you so negatively to possibly drive you back out. So, let me go. I got emotional sobriety. Emotional sobriety, man, that was one of I might have talked about it on here before, one of the first lessons I learned after graduating the program was, I was letting things affect me that, I was still setting expectations on things around me and letting them affect me negatively and getting in my head about them and getting emotional about them. Instead of just accepting them or giving it to God or, trusting the process and all the things we're supposed to do. And that's where emotional sobriety comes in. Really, that's the thing that you'll be emotionally drunk before Michelle's alarm's going off. You'll be emotionally drunk before you actually get drunk almost every time. You'll let things get to you to the point that you're saying, screw it, everything that you've worked for to that point. So I think maintaining your emotional sobriety is extremely important. And you do that by staying connected. And when you're dealing with something, talking to someone about it, a close friend, your sponsor, that's how because things are going to affect us. And sometimes it's hard to stop that knee-jerk reaction that we have to different things going on in our lives right away, and especially when we've been behaving this way for so long. But it takes work, and it takes staying connected and having people that you can count on and going to meetings and all those things. So, emotional sobriety is a big one.
Sorry. I was going to just touch base on the emotional sobriety. So I've learned what triggers, what triggers certain emotions and what thoughts can jeopardize my emotional sobriety. And I think that's one thing that that sobriety's given me is learning these different things about myself that that drugs mask. I didn't understand my different emotions and all of that. So I've really dug deep into it because I'm a very emotional creature. Mm-hmm. I cry real easy. I used to get mad real easy, and it's like I've learned to, if a person in my life is just real triggering, real negative, I've learned to place that boundary and accept them for who they are and you know what, they don't get access to my life because they're jeopardizing my emotional sobriety, and and I'm allowing them to make me feel this way, because I have that power of choice who I allow in my life, because I no longer need and rely on certain people financially. I
feel like we were talking about this the other day.
And it's so freeing, learning what triggers certain emotions and learning to place that boundary. Man, I'm telling you, that emotional sobriety, I'm at peace with my life now, and it's so amazing because that's what I lacked in my addiction and before my addiction was that emotional sobriety, and I value it today. Some people don't get access to me no more.
All right, well, great. This was fun. Logan, welcome aboard. Glad you finally came out. I think
So
you
glad
did
you're here.
way better than Evan, huh?
You leave that poor baby alone.
But so check us out on YouTube or our audio version on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, Google, and stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.